Mike, how you doing? Likewise. Been to Chicago lately? Have you been? Have you been to Chicago lately? Dang, I want to go. I want one of those big fat steaks that they sell there. I'll get my wife on board. Says she'll let me. I'll tell her she can go see her brother, Springfield. That's interesting. Welcome. I'm Bill Ashley. For those of you who don't know, I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs and Athletic Director here at the college. And we welcome you to our press conference today where we're going to announce our new basketball coach. I do have a few athletic updates to keep you in the loop about before we get to that. First off, basketball, we've had 3 people sign since signing period started and since we've been out of school, I should say. Raven Reyes signed to play for the Lady Blue Devils of Dillard University. She was one of our centers on our women's basketball team that went all the way to the NJCAA national tournament. Lane Robinson signed with the Lady Wildcats of Wiley College. So those 2 young ladies have moved on, and they were both our centers. So that was 1 and 2 center there. They kind of played a lot, so I don't know who 1 is and who 2 is, but they both contributed to a very successful team. And also one of our men's players, Donovan James. He is signed with Tougaloo College to continue his career. He also was a former North Pike product. Basketball camp's going well. I saw on Facebook that we have about 15 in the Brent Harris basketball camp. I know we had first graders through 5th graders, and I think he's got another camp starting with the older kids. Football camp is also here. We have the Gridiron camp. They brought a little over 200 student athletes to campus, and again, they're team sport, but they could be local from anybody that just wanted to come to the Gridiron camp, and that's been hosted by our former assistant, Ryan Ross. So it's good to have a former person that worked at the college coming back and using our facilities and, of course, paying to use them. As far as 707, we have our own tournament coming up here in, Thursday. Good. Thank you, Coach. Okay, so that's coming up, and I know we have a lot going on campus, and we're a lively campus, and we want to keep it that way. And it's good to have people on campus, and especially young people. It looks like we have some of the basketball campers right here. They've got the Brent Harris shirt on, so that's good. Now, what you're here for, I'll introduce Coach Gray. Coach Gray, Thomas Gray, he is very familiar with Southwest as he was previously our assistant coach. And, of course, he was such an excellent coach, he attracted another university that hired him away from us. And I remember that was a tough week because I talked with him and everybody kind of was feeling the blues about him leaving, but we also were happy for him. But he was such an excellent coach, the University of Tennessee Martin hired him away from us. And, of course, as far as that goes, he helped recruit their best recruiting class. And, of course, one of them was a former Southwest Bear. So I thought that was interesting. Prior to leaving, he was our assistant from 2011 to 2014. He also guided our team to back-to-back appearances in the state and regional tournaments. He also coached 5 players that signed NCAA Division I scholarships. He helped guide the 2012-13 team to runner-up finish in the MACJC South, and he coached 2 NJCAA Division I All-Americans. And, of course, currently the whole football or basketball staff or roster, he recruited every player we have. So Coach Gray was seemingly one of the leading contenders when we found out he was interested in the job. We had about 38 applicants, and of course we had 13 states represented. And of course one of the most interesting things about how our league is, as far as our Division I NJCAA sports, he's going to be our 3rd coach that had NCAA Division I experience prior to coming. Now, why is that important? It's important because of recruiting, and those people know the grind. And of course it's very important to have that here to attract students to play in our basketball program at Southwest. And of course I know Coach brings a lot of enthusiasm, determination, caring. He's got an intimate knowledge of the campus, and he knows Southwest. So without any further talking from me, I would like to introduce Thomas Gray as our new men's basketball coach here at Southwest.
I'm overwhelmed by the support, and I'm sorry on this summer afternoon that some of you had to come to this, but I appreciate you being here. I've been overwhelmed by the support of people across this country. I never knew that so many people had my phone number, and from coaches in high school, from junior college coaches, from Division I coaches to Division I head coaches, as far as coaches at Washington State University texting me and calling me and telling me congratulations, and it's been overwhelming to me, who thinks of myself as nothing in this profession, to have so many people call and tell me congratulations and how happy they were for me, and that excites me. And there's a list of thank yous, and I'm sure I'm going to forget all the different thank yous, but thanks first goes to my family and my wonderful fiance Ashley and her family for the emotional roller coaster known as a coaching carousel that I put them through this past year. It was full of ups and downs, and their support throughout the whole process meant a lot to me. I know it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me, and it wasn't easy for them. And I want to thank you and thank them for that, and some of them are here today for this. But in my life, I've had a lot of plans, a lot of intentions, and what I thought were great plans in place to achieve those. But I soon realized in my life that the plans that I had in my life were nothing compared to my Heavenly Father's plan for my life. And first of all, I really want to thank Him for allowing me to go through the broken road that allowed me to get to Southwest Mississippi Community College. And the times in my life when I think I have it all under control, when I have everything in place, when things are going in my direction, that's when it seems to take off in another direction, and He says, no, this is what I have in plan for you. Probably the first time I realized that is when I was a junior at Mississippi College. I was playing basketball. I was majoring in business. I was planning to go to law school, planning to conquer the World One courtroom at a time, and someone invited me on a September Saturday during the middle of working out, during the middle of practice, to go Saturday morning to a prison ministry, to where he told me that I would go and be able to participate in a ministry that played basketball with inmates and would be able to share my testimony and what Christ meant to me. And I tried to come up with a lot of different excuses to why I couldn't do that, to why I couldn't go on Saturday morning, including trying to talk to my current head coach at the time to say, this is not something I need to be resting on Saturday. We're in the middle of practice, preseason practice. I didn't need to be doing this, and I tried to come up with as many excuses as I possibly can to not go, but God had other intentions. And so that Saturday morning, I woke up at 5:30, and with this group of men as a junior in college, I drove down to a prison in South Mississippi, on the coast of Mississippi, and walked in its doors with the intention of participating in a ministry through the game of basketball. And I admit, as a 20-year-old walking through that prison, I was a little overwhelmed. We started going through the process, the search process of making sure we weren't carrying anything illegal into the prison. We walked through the corridors that led to an outside yard to where we were going to play basketball with these inmates. And as I walked through the door, I realized that this was not what I had in mind. It was a concrete basketball court, and surrounding the concrete basketball court were every inmate from that prison with no fence or anything in between. So as the end lines, the sidelines, and the baselines of the basketball court ended, there began the rows and rows of inmates at that college, or at that prison, I should say. And some 250 to 300 guys were participating in this little deal that we had, this ministry. immediately I looked around to see what kind of security they had in place because I was scared. And I noticed that there was one security guard or one police officer at this penitentiary, and I realized that that person was not Hercules. So if something went wrong, it was going to be bad. It was going to be really bad. But only through the strength I found in Christ that I can continue to go through this process. And so we began, warming up, ready to play this basketball game with these inmates, and we were competing against inmates. So we're going through this layup line, this warm-up drill, preparing for this game against inmates, with inmates watching, with the security guard and the few security guards unarmed around this court. And I heard Thomas. Immediately when I heard my name said, I looked around to the people that were there with me in this ministry, and I noticed that none of them were looking at me, and none of them had said my name. So I thought I was just hearing things. So I continued to go through the layup drills, and again I hear Thomas. I then realized that again, I looked and I said, what is going on? My name is being called, but nobody on my team's looking at me. Nobody in this penitentiary knows me. Who is shouting my name? And all these guys were just intent in doing this drill, and nobody on the team was looking at me, signaling that they had called my name. They had given me a jersey, a little reversible jersey to wear for this particular endeavor. And on that jersey was the name of the ministry. I didn't know what it had on it. I just put it on and continued to go through it. And so a third time, I heard my name, Thomas, number 12. I looked down at my jersey, and I was praying that my jersey did not have number 12 on it. But sure enough, it did. And then I realized from the direction from where my name was being called, and it was in the midst of all these inmates. I turned around and looked and saw a guy who I'm sure at one point in his life, somewhere, competed for the world's strongest man before he landed himself in prison. He was huge. He was 6'5", probably weighed about 250 or 260. Very, very large man, and he said, Thomas, and he did this to me. So any 20-year-old young man, when a guy like that size calls you, I immediately ran to him. I did not know what I was doing, but God had a plan in place for what was about to happen. I walked over to that guy. He put his arm around me, which I promise seemed like it weighed over 100 pounds. My knees began to quiver, and I looked up at his face. Through decorations on his face, through tattoos on his face, I realized what he was in prison for, because guys on my team had, that in college had kind of explained to me what certain tattoos meant. And through the decorations on his face, I realized what he was in prison for, which made me even more in fear. But what he said to me that day, I'll never forget. As his arm was around me, as no one to this day, I tell this story to the people that were involved in this ministry, no one realized that I went and did this. I went and ventured off into the crowd. As he had his arm around me to this day, I remember exactly what he said. He said, I cannot begin to explain to you how much it means for you to come in here with this group of guys and spend time with us on a Saturday morning. This group came here exactly 1 year ago, and I have marked down on my calendar to what I thought would be the time where they'd come in again. From that day, a year ago, no member of my family, no member of my friends have come and visited me besides you all. And for you to take the time out of your life, out of your schedule, to allow this game of basketball to join us together and spend time with us means the world to me. Right then, I noticed what a little orange inflated basketball can do and the impact that it can have in life. So what I thought were plans to become a lawyer, to make a lot of money, to, like I said, conquer the world one courtroom at a time, were soon changed. God then set in place a journey that has allowed basketball to take me as far as Istanbul, Turkey, to gain relationships at people at the University of Kentucky, at Kansas University, at UCLA, at UNLV, meet many NBA basketball players and coaches alike. And he's taken me all on this journey with the understanding of what basketball can do. The journey hasn't been easy. And as my family and friends can attest to, it's been nothing but that. It's been anything but that. It's gone through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of times where I've questioned myself and questioned if I'm able to continue. It's allowed me to meet a lot of different people. It's allowed me to experience a lot of joy, but a lot of heartache in the same sense. But I'm very thankful for what God has allowed me to go through to get me to this point at Southwest Community College. Very, very thankful. And any time that you come to a great situation and a great opportunity, you usually leave behind a great opportunity in itself. And that's what I left at University of Tennessee at Martin. I'm very grateful for Heath Schroyer and Julio Freer, the athletic director there, to give me the opportunity to become a Division I basketball coach, something that is the pinnacle of our profession. Oftentimes when I was going through the decision, I heard, Thomas, why would you not take that opportunity? There's only 1,153 to the specific number Division I assistants. And for you to get offered one of those jobs is a great blessing and a great opportunity. And for Heath Schroyer to think enough of me to offer me one of those 1,153 jobs means a lot. Means more than that he'll ever know. And so I leave behind a great situation that he is going to be very successful at. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity that he put before me. But I am also extremely grateful for Dr. Bishop, Dr. Ashley, the search committee, and the Board of Trustees for giving me the opportunity I have at hand to think enough of me to allow me this great opportunity. I don't take this very lightly. I don't take this opportunity for granted. I understand this league. I understand what it means to be a coach in this league. I understand that this league is a league that just produced an NJCAA Division I national champion in Jones Junior College in men's basketball. And so for me coming back here, it's a task that I'm very grateful for, but it's also a task that I don't underestimate. But I was very blessed when my time here to have a great example in Casey Carter of what it looks like to not only be a great coach, but a godly coach. That, to me, makes this transition very easy. Because for 3 years, I got to see him day out and day out, day in, day out, live a life that not only was guiding our players and our athletes in the game of basketball, but more importantly in the game of life. I can never thank Casey enough for the opportunity that he gave me 3 years ago. I can never thank him enough for the example that he set for me and for the friendship that we have now from working together for those 3 years. I am very grateful for the guys that we have in place through this whole process and when this thing became a possibility. The text messages and the phone